So huge shout out to Nathan over here. And the reason why Nathan is so awesome is that he gave me a heads up about a bug he noticed in Safari and mobile. You see, he found a really nasty little bug here. These buttons should be looking more like the ones on the left over here. Instead, we had this really wonky situation. So he noticed in mobile Safari, but I found out this is any really small screen size. So it made it a little easier to debug. And as I dove into the code to figure out what's happening here, I found out the mystery was this little friend here, our PX4. So if you're not familiar with Tailwind CSS, what this means is that we have a padding on both sides of the button. So we have a padding of 4px on both sides, which is fine and there's enough space for everything, but when the screen gets really small and space is limited, what it will do, it will figure request to put paddings on the side, but since the text is getting wrapped because there's not enough room for it to exist, it's going to lead to this weird, sometimes even Tetris-y situation here. Obviously not what we want. If you get rid of the PX here, you can have this situation down here where everything's fine, it behaves, because there's enough space to fit it all, even though it doesn't look that great. But what I ended up doing is I decided, wait, why do I have things so wordy? Let's just change view live to view, readme link to readme. So easy breezy, beautiful solution. So now I have the PX4, all those are fine. Now I know what you're curious about. Okay, wait, how can I solve bugs like this and how did you not notice this to begin with? Well, the thing is that when I would check my site, I would usually just expand it out here, check in the larger screen sizes, or shrink it to the smallest that the screen would go, which is about to there. Now the problem with that is that there are some screen sizes smaller than this. So what you can do if you're on FireFox, right-click over here, click Inspect, and go down here to the Responsive tab. And you could actually change this. It gives you different devices you can try, but for the most part, 320 is going to be the small screen. For the most part, you're going to find. So I was going to test on that size. As you go here, you can go just check it out, see how things look. But what I was doing, even though I knew that this existed, for the most part, I figured this was going to be close enough. We're going to have that many issues, but to be honest, I should have still been double checking, making sure for these really, really small screen sizes, things were still working out fine. So that was a bug totally on me. So lesson learned to make sure I use that a little more. If you have Chrome, you could do something similar. Right click, click Inspect. And for this one, you're just going to click here, toggle device toolbar. Don't be scared. Sometimes it will start it off with like 110 as you saw earlier. If you go here, it's just going to have like the 110, but no screen size is going to be that small. So let's go ahead, just make this there. Let's change this to 320. And there you go. Now you can test it on Chrome as well. So after I finished that first section of the video, I realized, wait, let me go ahead and walk you all through how I debugged this and found out the padding was the issue. So whatever issue you're having in your app, you can go ahead and use the dev tools to figure out what in the world is going on. So in this case, let's go over to Visual Studio Code. That's what I'm using. You want to go to your package JSON because we're going to need the dev server to test things. So in my case, it's just going to be dev, and that's what it is going to be most of the time. This is what starts the development server. Your application, they could technically have something else here, like dev222. Very unlikely, but just in case, you can check. Then go down to the terminal, do npm run dev. Then you're going to go ahead and press enter. The things will run for a little bit, and it will finish, and it'll have it on a localhost server. In this case, it's going to be 4321. So this is the page loaded over here. You can see up here, it's localhost 4321. All right. And so what you're going to do here is, let's say, again, we're focusing on the buttons. We're going to go right click, click inspect. And nice is it takes you directly to the element that is the problem child. So for this one, I can see, okay, we have PX4 and PY2. Let me go back to Visual Studio Code. One thing you can do, let's just see, Control-Shift-F. That will pop up the search. That's a little shortcut you can use. Let's type in PX4, PY2. And it gives me some options of different files that have that setup. Of course, the more unique setup you have here, the easier it is to find it. So in my case, I know it's going to be the gradient navigation button. But if you're not sure, you at least have some options here that will narrow down your possibilities from your whole entire application. So for this, I went here, and after that, it was just a matter of adjusting things. So for this, let's do something crazy. Let's say 10. And then in this case, and you can see it added extra padding to the sides here. So in that case, it's just going back and forth, just testing, seeing what's causing the issue, what isn't, until you figure out the solution. But again, the big tip is to right-click, inspect with element. That works for anything here. Right-click, inspect. That takes you to the video. Right-click again. This will take you to the button, inspect. And again, just using the search feature and Visual Studio Code to figure out what files that could be in, where the bug is at. And I wish you a merry bug hunting. And another quick shout out to Nathan. Thank you again for the heads up about the bug. I appreciate you. So I hope this helps both with your debugging. And again, shout out to Nathan. Thank you, man. You are awesome.